Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope you guys are feeling super, super awesome today, especially just coming off from the holidays, from holiday weekend. I know we had Christmas in there. I know we had Kwanzaa in there too. I feel like I should know when Hanukkah is, but I don't. I apologize for that, but I don't know. I feel like this holiday season, this holiday weekend was just one big blur. And I can honestly say that it was actually super fun, kind of late, but I want to thank you guys for all the Christmas wishes I got over the weekend. It really means a lot to hear from you guys, just wishing me a Merry Christmas. And honestly, it is unbelievable that we are in the last week of 2021. Last week of 2021. Like after this week, no more 2021. This year somehow went by so fast. You thought the holiday weekend was one big blur. This entire year was one big blur. I feel like just yesterday it was January 1st of 2021 and everybody was like, oh my gosh, like, are we gonna go back to normal? I have all these goals, like, can I pursue all these goals and stuff like that? I literally just feel like I finished my mood board for 2021 3 days ago. And we are somehow in the last week of 2021. 2022 is just a few days away. I'm sorry, I just keep saying it over and over again, but it still surprises me. I'm honestly genuinely shocked that I actually made it to this point. And I am super excited, but I am also kind of scared. I don't know. It feels like a new chapter is definitely upon us, and I really don't know what to expect next. I feel like it's a good thing. It's good to be surprised sometimes. It's good to do things spontaneously every once in a while. But I don't know. I feel like I also value routine and knowing what's coming next. But something that's definitely out of my comfort zone, I guess, is what I'm experiencing. And I just wanted to take some time to just reflect on this past year. And I feel like a lot of people are probably doing the same right now, or even started doing that 1 week, 2 weeks ago. And I think that it's very important to reflect and just to see where you are, where you're at in terms of all your goals and direction in life. I'm getting super, super deep right now, but I find that that's very important to do some self-reflection on your life and how you feel about it. Just to see how much you've grown, figuratively and literally, of course. I think I've stopped growing at this point. I know I said the same thing when I was 18 and I ended up growing like an extra half inch. But I promise you this time I'm done. No more growing. But I just wanted to reflect on my year and how much I've grown in terms of self-love and body confidence and that entire journey. After all, that is what this podcast is about. And I feel like in that capacity, I have definitely grown so much. And I honestly have this podcast. I have a Tall Girls podcast to thank for that. This whole thing has definitely changed my outlook on my height and my confidence in myself and my body, and just honestly how I look as a tall girl, as a tall woman. I believe that talking it out and giving you guys tips has actually helped me, because I think number one, I feel like I had to get a lot of thoughts out of my head. I had to get a lot of my feelings out, whether it was on paper, through talking. I'm more of a verbal type of person. So I find that talking out how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking about everything has definitely made me see things so much clearer, so much clearer. And I think that giving you tips has also helped me give tips to myself. Sometimes do you ever just talk and you think to yourself like, wow, maybe I should take my own advice one day? And that's basically the situation. I'm giving you guys advice and giving tall women advice, tall people in general advice. And I'm also giving myself advice. And I'm like, maybe I should take my own advice. Like, who knew that daily affirmations could actually rewire your brain, rewire your thoughts, how you think about yourself, how you think about others, how you think about life. And who knew asking myself, taking a second to like step back and ask myself questions like, why does that person's opinion of me really matter to me? Do they really have that much of an effect? Or am I just feeling down about myself and I'm just letting other people's comments just affect me in a certain way? And honestly, I'm just so grateful that I started this podcast and I'm building this beautiful, tall community. And it's funny because starting this podcast was actually one of my goals for 2022. I think I set it for summer 2022 because also during the school year, there was just a lot going on in terms of work and course overload, and it was a lot going on. I really thought like, oh my gosh, will I be able to start a podcast? But I actually started it summer of 2021 and I have been managing it pretty well. And I'm just so glad, I'm so happy that I did not wait until summer of 2022, because who knows where my head would be at if I hadn't started. And I'm just so happy and grateful for that. And speaking of goals, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of my goals for 2022. New year, new me, right? But in all honesty, I feel like it's more of an evolution process, very slow moving process. I think it's hard to completely change your ways just like that, snap of a finger. It's more important to set up new habits that can ultimately lead you to become the person that you want to be in the future. And that's so important because our ideas of ourselves and our ideas of where we want to go in life are constantly changing as time goes on. And that is so normal. That is completely normal because we are evolutionary creatures. So things just change a lot over time. Slow, fast, usually slow. But because of this, I honestly try to go step by step with these things like changing habits and setting my goals. And as I said, one of my goals was to start this podcast in 2022, summer 2022. But here we are super early. You honestly never know what can happen. And I just want to I want to keep growing. I want to continue growing and evolving, especially with this community, with you guys, growing this podcast, growing this amazing group of people and spreading the good vibes. Like, that is what I want to continue doing. So my goal for this past year, 2021, my goal for this past year, I should start with that, was 1,000 downloads, 1K. And we hit that early. We hit that in the beginning of December, and the downloads are still increasing. And I really want to thank you guys for that. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to my podcast and listen to what I have to say and hopefully benefit from all of the tips that I'm giving you and all of this good vibes, So by the end of next year, I want to be at 10K, at 10,000 downloads. And at first I thought to myself, oh my gosh, is this even possible? But Hey, I didn't even think that 1K, 1,000 downloads was possible for this year. And here we are. And yet again, I'm super, super grateful for each and every one of you guys who tune in every single week. I also want to hit 1K on Instagram, 1K on TikTok, and 1K on Pinterest. Yes, we are going with big numbers here, big numbers, but anything is possible. So if you already follow me, thank you so much for your support. And if you don't, you totally should add a Tall Girls podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. They'll be linked below, so you guys can just check that out after this episode. But yeah, I want to continue to grow and sustain this wonderful tall community. And honestly, I want to keep thriving in my body confidence and self-love journey. I cannot stress enough how much this podcast has helped me realize so many new things about myself. And I want to keep this trend going. I want to keep growing. I want to keep finding out new things about myself, trying to give myself ways to, just feel better about myself and my body and my height, and just feel more confident. Even though I grew so much this year in 2021, I could definitely say that. And that's the other thing, because I want to continue walking with a straight back. I want to start walking with my shoulders back. See, this may sound super, super weird and super simple for some people, but if you listen to my first ever Tall Girl Chats episode about it's okay to not always love your height, I spoke about how I had a slouching problem and it was pretty bad. I looked like I had a hunchback and my back would just always hurt. I would always be in constant back pain. So this year I made the effort to straighten my back, and I've done so well that when I walk and when I sit, like, my back is actually not slouching as much. It's so much straighter than it was before. The back pain has definitely subsided, but my shoulders are still kind of rounded forward. So I want to make the effort to change that, one step at a time. So I want to start having my shoulders back more while I have a straight back. You know what I mean? So yeah, one step at a time. And that's pretty much it. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. I want to wish you and your loved ones a happy new year. Feel free to comment below wherever you're listening. What are some of your goals for the new year, if you're celebrating it this early? Because I know some people celebrate it later, like in February, I think. But what are some of your goals for the new year? And hit me up on my socials. Let me know there too, at a Tall Girls podcast. And let me know what you're striving to do in the new year. And I will catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.